The day the doctor told us our second child was a girl, my wife cried with happiness. I smiled. But inside my chest, something ugly twisted. My name is Thad. Oh, once I had a perfect life. A small house on a quiet street. A gentle wife who loved me more than I deserved, and a little daughter named Mai who followed me everywhere like a tiny shadow. Our home was not rich, but it was warm. Every evening, my wife cooked dinner while Mai sat on the kitchen counter swinging her small legs. Sometimes she would shout, "Daddy's home," and run to hug me the moment I opened the door. I believed that was happiness. At least, I believed it until my mother started whispering poison into my ears. My mother had only one obsession: a grandson. A family without a son is a dying family, she repeated constantly. Every phone call ended the same way. When will you give me a grandson? At my age, I deserve someone to carry our family name. At first, I laughed it off. A child is a child, I told her. But the words kept coming. Every week, every visit, every family gathering. Soon I began noticing things I had never noticed before. All my friends had sons. My coworkers talked proudly about teaching their boys baseball. At family ceremonies, grandfathers lifted boys onto their shoulders. Girls stood quietly in the corner. Slowly, without realizing it, I began to want what they had: a son. When my wife became pregnant again, hope filled the house. My mother even started praying every morning. The day of the ultrasound arrived. My wife squeezed my hand while the doctor examined the screen. Then he smiled. Congratulations, he said. It's a healthy baby girl. My wife burst into tears of joy. My mother sighed in disappointment. And me? I felt something dark bloom inside my chest. That night, my mother said the sentence that ruined everything. A man without a son, she whispered, is a tree without roots. The seed had been planted, and I was too weak to stop it. The atmosphere at home slowly changed. My mother stopped smiling. Dinner conversations became silent and heavy. Sometimes she muttered loud enough for my wife to hear. Two daughters, such bad luck? My wife pretended not to notice, but I saw her shoulders tighten every time. Despite everything, she continued caring for me. She cooked my favorite meals, massaged my back when I returned from work. One night she even whispered an apology. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a son. That guilt in my chest lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then my phone buzzed. That was the moment everything started to fall apart. Her name was Trang. She was a new employee at my company. Beautiful, sharp, and far too observant. She noticed the sadness in my eyes during lunch one afternoon. You look like a man carrying a heavy burden, she said. I laughed awkwardly. But somehow I began telling her everything. About my mother, about the pressure, about the second daughter. She listened carefully. Then she said something that stopped my heart. My family has a traditional method, she said softly. A way to guarantee a son. I stared at her. That's impossible. She shrugged. My cousins all used it. Then she leaned closer and whispered, every one of them has boys. I should have laughed. Instead, the idea lodged inside my mind like a parasite. Our conversations became more frequent. Lunches, coffee, late night phone calls. She always knew exactly what to say. You deserve an heir. Men like you should have sons. You shouldn't feel ashamed. One rainy evening, we shared a bottle of wine. One thing led to another, and I crossed a line I could never uncross. I told myself a lie. I told myself it was for my family, for my mother, for my future son. But the truth was much uglier. I simply wanted what I could not have. 3 months later, Trang called me. Her voice trembled. I'm pregnant. My heart exploded. I rushed her to a clinic. The ultrasound confirmed everything. A boy, a son. I remember walking out of that hospital feeling like the universe had chosen me. I gave Trang money, a private apartment, everything she asked for. Meanwhile, at home, my pregnant wife waited alone every night. She cooked dinner. She folded baby clothes for our daughter. She asked why I worked so late, and I lied. Again and again and again, until one night the lies finally collapsed. I walked into the house expecting dinner. Instead, I found darkness. My wife sat silently at the table. The lights were off. Her eyes were red. My heart began pounding. She asked only one question. Hey, is she pregnant? My entire body froze. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Is it a boy? I could not speak. My silence answered everything. Just then my mother walked into the room. She listened quietly. Then she said something that shattered what little remained of my marriage. If you had given him a son, she told my wife coldly, he would not have needed another woman. My wife laughed. It was the most broken sound I have ever heard. Tears rolled down her face. So you chose your heir, she whispered to me. I lowered my head. I could not even look at her. That was my final act of cowardice. She packed one suitcase. She did not scream. She did not beg. She simply walked out the door, pregnant, alone, into the cold night. That was the last moment I had a real family. Trang moved in my house soon after. Months later, she gave birth to a boy. My mother celebrated for 3 days. Firecrackers, parties, boasting to every neighbor. My grandson! At first, life seemed perfect, but the price appeared slowly. My mother spoiled the boy endlessly. Anything he wanted. Toys, phones, motorbikes, money. No one touches my grandson, she declared proudly. My son grew up believing the world belonged to him. By 13, he was skipping school. By 15, he was gambling. By 17, he was racing illegal motorcycles at night. He shouted at teachers. He insulted my mother. He treated me like a walking ATM. Yet I never punished him. Guilt made me weak. Every time he demanded money, I gave it. Until the day everything collapsed. One night the police called. My son had caused a major accident during an illegal street race. 2 people were seriously injured. The hospital needed blood immediately. Doctors ran a quick compatibility test. Then a nurse looked at me strangely. Sir, she said slowly, your blood type cannot produce this child. I laughed nervously. That must be a mistake. They ordered a DNA test. 2 days later, the doctor called me into his office. He placed a folder on the desk. His voice was gentle. I'm sorry, he said. This boy is not your biological son. The room began spinning. I drove home like a madman. Trang was sitting on the couch when I arrived. I threw the papers onto the table. Explain this. She stared at the test results. Then she sighed, like someone tired of hiding the truth. There were other men, she admitted quietly. I didn't know whose child it was. But when you told me you wanted a son, she shrugged. I knew you would believe it was yours. My entire life shattered in that moment. I destroyed my marriage, abandoned my daughters, and ruined my family. For a child who was never mine. Months later, I lost everything. My house, my money, my reputation. One afternoon, I wandered through the city like a ghost. Then fate showed me something cruel. A beautiful luxury boutique. Inside stood a woman arranging dresses. Elegant, confident, peaceful. My heart stopped. It was my ex-wife. Standing beside her was a young woman. Bright eyes, gentle smile. My daughter. The child I had abandoned before she was even born. They walked outside together. My ex-wife recognized me instantly. For a moment our eyes met. There was no anger in her gaze, no hatred, only calm, like she was looking at a stranger. Hello, she said politely. My daughter bowed slightly, a respectful greeting, the kind you give an old man you barely know. Then they entered a beautiful car and drove away, together, happy, complete. And I finally understood the truth. I spent my life chasing a son, but the daughters I abandoned were the greatest gifts I ever lost. And now I must live the rest of my life knowing that